Origin Chess, reaction. This is why was Bonn the capital of West Germany? Short anime documentary by the channel History Matters. Here's another History Matters video. West Germany. So I guess this is before the before the fall of the wall. I guess West Germany was a nation of over 50 million people and was home to many of Europe's largest cities. However, its capital wasn't one of its major hubs like Munich, Frankfurt or Cologne, but instead was the small town of Bonn. Okay. First of all, if you see many capitals around the world even today, they are not in a major cities, right? People have this, like, even I question that, because even the state in India where I live in, the capital is not in the largest city, but close to it in somewhere else, right? So I'm like, why is that? But then later on I realized that there's many factors about that. First of all, if the economical powerhouse it basically is a city, and if you keep the capital there, a lot of that business influence would leak into the political sector. You don't want that, right? If it's in the same city, there's a chance of that, right? You don't want your own political people to just hang around these corporations or whatever, right? There's one element of that, and I'm pretty sure there's also one of the rules that capitals have to be in more of a centrally located, basically thing. So, it's same distance from everyone or something like that. Usually major cities are not centrally located. It's more of like, close to sea and river and shit like that. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's the case. But Bonn, I don't know where the Bonn is or what, where it is, I guess. But I'm thinking it must be centrally located in this West Germany, right? So that might have been the case. I don't know, but we'll see. I love anything history related, obviously. I started this channel as that history reaction. I didn't know what the hell is a reaction channel, right? I just saw one or two reaction videos and look at that, they talk about it. Might as well do it. If I'm going to watch this video, might as well watch it like that. I might learn a thing or two. People will tell me in the comments something like that. That's how I started this. Because before this, I started this channel, I had close to no knowledge of history of anything, right? Because history was never an interesting thing for me. But then later it became. So yeah, let's watch this one.
After its defeat in World War II, Germany was split into two parts. East Germany with its capital of Berlin, West Germany with its capital of Bonn, which is here and had a population of about 110,000 people.
Wait a minute, what?
Its capital of Bonn, which is here and...
Okay, why is that centrally I guess, is there any town in here? Because if that's not the case, this would be centrally located from north and south, right? I don't know.
Had a population of about 110,000 people in a nation of about 50 million. And given that there were much larger, more important cities in West Germany at the time, why was Bonn chosen as its capital? So as of 1949, Germany was divided into four parts, and the three controlled by the Western powers were merged into the Federal Republic of Germany. With the Allies preparing to hand over the role of civilian government to the West Germans, the first thing that needed to be picked was where this government would operate from. And the temporary location chosen was Bonn. This was because Bonn was one of the larger towns in West Germany that hadn't been bombed to ruins. However, it was only supposed to be a stopgap until the politicians of West Germany could pick a new capital. So why did they keep it there? Well, there were many reasons, and numerous larger cities were put forward. Frankfurt, Cologne and Munich were candidates for the capital.
Ooh, Frankfurt is literally in the center. Like, why would you not? Okay.
But all of them were somewhat bombed and occupied. The buildings that were still standing were either being used as emergency housing or by the Allied armies as bases.
Okay, alright. This is after World War II, obviously, right? All the wall and shit. And obviously the Cold War was on, right? So, I'm thinking maybe the thinking was that if we put it in capital city, right? And capital cities, if we put in major cities, the capital, major cities would be the first to, I guess, get attacked if war happens, which it did happen in the past twice at a larger scale. Why wouldn't it happen the third time, right? So, they probably just, because Soviet Union was still there, Cold War was still there, right? They probably just thought like, might as well keep away from the major cities. So if the war, at least there's a chance capital will not be directly attacked. I don't know.
As such, the West German government would need to spend considerable sums of money to build a new parliament, as well as the massive infrastructure needed to support it. Money which many at the time felt that the government didn't have. Furthermore, German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer and his opponent Kurt Schumacher didn't want the West German capital to be somewhere with lots of foreign troops around. Schumacher soon found himself a little bit dead, and his successors pushed for Frankfurt because of its central location. They weren't in power though, so it wasn't up to them and largely fell to Adenauer and his party to decide. Adenauer didn't want the Federal Republic's new capital to be a major city because he felt that such a move would look permanent, and thus it would appear to be a concession that Germany would remain divided forever. Another concern was that the new capital couldn't be anywhere with a strong association with the previous regime.
I mean, Berlin is... Wait a minute. Berlin was the capital before this, right? Right? Yeah. All right. So, that would just mean like if something like Frankfurt is chosen, like afterward, if it unites, now it would be Berlin or Frankfurt, because Berlin was the one before it, right? So that would cause issues.
With this in mind, Adenauer needed to find a small town without Allied troops with no connection to the war that was large enough to house a parliament, which didn't leave much. The French refused to withdraw from any town in their former occupation zone since they saw it as a sign of weakness, whereas the Americans preferred that the new government would be seated in a larger city, but they also refused to remove their soldiers from there. This left only the British, who had already agreed to withdraw forces from Bonn, not because of any sympathy towards German feeling, but because not stationing troops in a town is cheaper than stationing troops in a town, and Britain was broke. Bonn had a lot of...
basically summarize all Britain's economical issue around this time, right? Oh, look at that. Look, French people don't want to go. Americans, are fine with it, but they, indirectly don't want to go as well and want to have power, right? Where we want to put in major cities. So that leaves Britain, and Britain just walking away. Oh, look at that. Aren't they the good guy? No, man, I don't have money. Just walking away.
Lots of unbombed, unoccupied buildings that were suitable for use and also had nothing to do with the previous regime. In fact, it was the birthplace of Beethoven and thus appealed to a vision of Germany distinct from its Prussian or imperial past. And another bonus was that it was only a 20-minute drive from Adenauer's house. And given that the government was already there, they just chose to stay. And in fact, when Germany reunited in 1990, there was a vote to move the capital from Bonn to Berlin. Most West German politicians voted for it to remain in Bonn. However, when the votes of East German politicians were included, it tipped the balance by a mere 18 votes. And thus Berlin took over as the new capital of a united Germany. I hope you enjoyed this episode, with a special thanks to my...
I think one of the point was to, make sure that it's not a permanent location. After that, they were actually thinking about, wait a minute, should we stay at Bonn or fucking Berlin? I guess the whole point is like it was already there, right? Why move it when it's there? Basically, something like that. And yeah, I think this is the 20, what was the 20 minute away from his house, something like that. Basically, Jeremy Clarkson element of it. Like, I don't want to walk too much from my house. Fuck it. I have a capital here where my house is. Yeah, that's... I bet that was one of the major thing, right? Like, why have it here? Yeah, but I thought about this capital issue, like I said in the start of the video, a long time ago, and I did realize these pointers, like basically, where the economical powerhouse is, it's not good to have capital on a political element there, right? It's also has to be centrally located. I guess these 2 points are kind of main, right? I don't know. Right, well, that was why was Bonn the capital of West Germany? Was History Matters. If you like my reason, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.